I'm Tim Stevens, and this is the 2024 Acura ZDX Type S. It's Acura's first all-electric car, but it comes from an interesting source. There's a lot of General Motors technology going on under the skin here. The result is a good-looking SUV, but the bigger question is, does it drive good enough to live up to that Type S name? We're going to run you through all the numbers, then we'll give it the full Capital One review treatment to find out. The ZDX has a dual-motor all-wheel drive system that gives you 499 horsepower and 544 pound-feet of torque, and it offers 278 miles of range. On a fast level 3 charge, you'll go from 20 to 80% charge in just 42 minutes. At home, you'll get a full charge in less than 10 hours. Up front, we have dual-eye LED headlights, and then around the sides, we have 22-inch wheels wrapped in summer tires. Around back, we have LED taillights and a power hands-free liftgate. Bring this up and you have 28.7 cubic feet of storage behind the second row seats, or fold them down to get the full 62 cubic feet of storage. Inside the ZDX, there's seating for 5. Out back, the outboard seats are heated. Up front, these seats are both heated and ventilated. We have a heated steering wheel as well, and a 3-zone climate control system. Behind the steering wheel, there's an 11-inch gauge cluster, and here in the middle, there's an 11.3-inch touchscreen, which is running Android Automotive for the first time in an Acura. We also have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, plus a wireless cell phone charger. There's an 18-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system in here too, which sounds great. On the sides, we have heated, power folding side view mirrors, and up top, a one-touch panoramic moonroof. In sport mode, the car will lower itself all the way down, or you can go into snow mode, which will give you the maximum ground clearance. All right, that's all the details. Let's hit the track and see how this thing performs. On track now in the Acura ZDX Type S, but we're starting in normal mode, which is just the usual mode that you would do for normal driving, and that's pretty much how I'm driving it now. Just kind of cruising along, and as an EV, as you would expect, everything is quite smooth and quite calm and quite comfortable. The absence of internal combustion means that you can very quiet and calmly pull away from every light. There's no vibration, no harshness at all. This is a very calm and quiet and confident drive. But as you do get up to a little bit higher speeds, up over about 60 miles an hour, there's actually a surprising amount of wind noise coming off of the mirrors, which is a little bit of a disappointment. But otherwise, this still gives you all those great EV characteristics that we've come to expect. But how does it drive in more engaging modes? Well, let me go ahead and put it into sport mode, which requires that I reach down under my left knee, actually, to get to the mode dial. It's a curious place to hide it. But now as I go into sport mode, now I've got a lot more power, the full 499 horsepower at my disposal. And it also adds on a bit of a cheeky fake engine noise, which gives it a little bit more personality than it had before. The steering weight has also been increased, which I'm not much of a fan of, but you can go in and create an individual drive mode if you want to and choose things like how much steering feel you want, the throttle response, and you can, of course, turn off that engine noise too. Here in sport mode, the car has also lowered itself to give me a little bit more engaging handling, but overall, there's only so much you can do in a car that weighs, wait for it, over 6,000 pounds. Yes, this is a heavy, heavy car, and even though that weight is evenly distributed, I've got a 50-50 weight balance here, which is exactly what you want. There's no hiding the fact that this is a very heavy machine, and you can definitely feel it out here. Again, all that power means it does leap out of corners quite effectively, but you've got to be pretty patient when you're going through them. So then, does this live up to that Type S moniker? Well, Acura has traditionally given Type S as a label to cars that are sportier, but still luxurious, not as racy as a Type R, but still more fun to drive than their normal models. Is this one fun to drive? Well, again, it does accelerate quite well, but I can't say it's exactly having a great time out here by any means. Now, I mentioned before that there's a lot of General Motors going on in this car. Frankly, I was being a little bit generous. This is basically a General Motors car, and though that is a bit strange, this car was designed by Acura here at their design studio in the United States, but everything else, the construction, manufacturing, and a lot of the technology is borrowed wholesale from General Motors, which you can see from everything from the shifter to that regen paddle I mentioned before. There's a lot of General Motors going on in here. This feels a lot more like I'm driving a Chevy than I'm driving an Acura, which is a little bit strange, but that does come with a number of benefits, one of which being I get General Motors Super Cruise system, which is this bar here across the steering wheel. That means I can go on the highway, engage Super Cruise, and I can get hands off. Now, Acura doesn't call it Super Cruise, they call it Acura Watch 360 Plus, but it is, again, Super Cruise. Go on the highway, take your hands off the wheel, and it is perhaps the best hands-off driving assistance system on the road right now. I spent many miles in different flavors of Super Cruise over the years, and it's really remarkable how comfortable and how confidence-inspiring it is. does a really good job of keeping the car in lane, adjusting with traffic, and even now doing active lane changes and things like that. So that's a really nice thing to have that you can't get on other Acuras, because again, this is kind of only sort of an Acura. Another benefit about being an Acura, it's built here in the United States, and that means that it is eligible for the full $750 federal EV rebate, and that is a nice thing as well. Now, in terms of pricing, this is the Type S, which is the top of the line model, and this car starts at around $75,000, which is frankly a lot of money. You are getting a lot of power, but if you're okay with getting less power, you can step down to the single motor rear drive model, quite a bit more range for a lot less money. And given I'm not exactly loving my time out here on the track, and I'm not someone who needs 499 horsepower for every day, that's probably where my budget would push me. But regardless of which trim you go with, the Acura ZDX is a fresh-looking and interesting entry into the EV market. But with so many other luxury EVs happening right now, I'm just not sure it's quite enough to keep up with the competition.
For more information on the latest cars, trucks, and SUVs, visit the Capital One Auto Learning Center in the link below and follow our channel.